And magically by Nigel Farage as well. Now, you know, you've both got very, very different points of view, but you both expect there to be real trouble ahead inside this Conservative government when so-called hard Brexit versus soft Brexit has to be debated and argued. How much of a political opportunity is that for each of you? Tim, first of all.
I think it's a huge opportunity for us, but I think it's a massive risk for Great Britain, because however you voted in the referendum, the fact that there was absolutely no plan on the table, people voted for a blank sheet of paper. I don't think the Conservative government had any plan at all to deal with what would happen post a Leave vote. And still 3 months on post the referendum, it appears that Theresa May has no plan and she's not sharing it with us. And the difference to jobs in the United Kingdom, prices on our shelves, of us being in the single market and not in the single market, that issue alone is of vast significance.
No, I agree.
And none of us know.
I agree. Everything will get much cheaper. Absolutely. Because we'll open ourselves up to the world and we can get rid of the common external tariff and buy cheaper food. You know, do you remember years ago, cheap butter, lamb from New Zealand? There are lots of opportunities. Look, this idea...
So the biggest market on the planet on our doorstep is something we're going to turn our back on.
I tell you something, the biggest
Lots of your lot
believe
we should be in the single market.
Has got a real problem. Let's be absolutely clear about this blank sheet of paper. I do agree with you, there was no plan B. You know, the government did not prepare anything. Whitehall did not prepare anything, which is pretty irresponsible. So it's a good job that Cameron and Osborne have gone. But the idea that people who voted for Brexit voted for a blank sheet of paper is nonsense. They voted for us to take back control of our lives. They voted for us to come out of the single market. They voted for us to make our own laws and control our own borders. Now everybody from Boris Johnson to Kate Hoey and Frank Field to the UKIPers, we all put that message out.
So you're all absolutely clear. Everybody on the Leave side.
We want out of the single market.
Could I just intervene for a second, gentlemen?
Totally agree on every single jot and tittle.
If we are opening up to the rest of the world, and I've defined liberalism as open borders for capital and people and so forth, and that great disruption which has changed the last century, could we see more of it, in fact, after leaving the EU rather than less of it?
Here is the nonsense. So many on the pro-EU side portray themselves as being internationalists. Actually, the European Union is effectively a protectionist club that has shut itself off from many of the emerging parts of the world. And I want Britain to be engaged on a global basis. That's real internationalism.
If you were an African farmer, Tim Farron, you'd be nodding at what Nigel Farage was saying, because they have had a very, very hard time, and many other groups, trying to import or export their products into the EU.
It's absolute nonsense, because what is believed, I mean, for example, across the Commonwealth, most Commonwealth heads of government, which are, of course, from countries, many of them like those that you are describing, are absolutely horrified at what the United Kingdom government has
They're queuing up to sign trade deals. Get with it, come on.
And that is
absolutely
not true.
We flag up,
Nigel.
Canada.
So here we are. Let's pick up Australia. Let's settle on that. A market of 20 million people, literally on the other side of the planet, in case you hadn't worked that out, and a market literally 20 miles away across the Channel with 500 million people.
I tell you what's
who would you do a deal with, Nigel?
I tell you what's so interesting, the way that you disparage them as being on the other side of the world. We're leaving the European Union, we're going global. It's an exciting new future for us.
I don't believe that is, because I think the problem is what Nigel stands
I knew this was going to
is that kind of populist, nationalist sentiment.
I believe in democracy.
That I think is...
I believe in democracy.
I'm going to break up.
And I believe in democracy also, but my sense is that, well, and you fight for what you believe in.
The thing is, Nigel, do you respect the referendum result? Do you respect the result? You do.
Do you remember, do you respect the one in 1975? You kept going.
Almost out of time. You can see we are out of time. The conversation is carrying on. The Sunday politics.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.